go back all the way to 2018. Who could forget the infamous and disastrous trip that Justin Trudeau and his family went on to India? We were humiliated. He humiliated himself and our country. At that time, an Indian columnist by the name of Ajit Dutta had this to say about Justin Trudeau. Justin Trudeau is a mascot of everything that is wrong in the world today, from being at the forefront of encouraging every degeneracy to welcoming radicalism into his homeland, from cheap gimmicks to tokenism to attempts to creating culture of politically correct absurdities. The stink of the leftist hypocrisy wafts far and wide. As a citizen of India, I could not care less if the elected leader of Canada seeks to drive his nation into the dumps, but where it is an adverse effect on my country is when I choose to draw the line. Hello, I'm Adrienne Batra. With me are Warren Kinsella and Brian Lilley. Brian, I bring up this quote because even though it's from 2018, it seems so important and relevant today because it's what other commentators around the world are saying about Justin Trudeau. It's what we're saying about Justin Trudeau. It really just encapsulates his leadership in a way, but I'm putting this in the context of what we're seeing lately. I mean, the past few weeks we've seen, for whatever reason, they've put out our failed finance minister, Chrystia Freeland, out there to defend the government's failing positions and controversial positions. But now we've seen a bit of a resurgence of Trudeau getting out there, power and politics interviews and whatnot. He's really clinging on, dismissing the polls, dismissing anybody that is saying anything against his government that he should go. And in the context of what I just read, that quote, nothing seems to be changing with Trudeau.
The Australian media took a run at him recently with one show calling him a neo-Marxist Ken doll. He doesn't get the international media adulation that he once got, and he's not getting adulation from the media or the public here in Canada. But it was really strange. It was strange that he went on Power and Politics the other day. For him just to show up even on a show at his favorite broadcaster, CBC, you know, the House Liberal broadcaster, that's still strange for that to happen. The PM doesn't just do random interviews like that. It's normally a very formal thing. You sit down. It's done in their office at Langevin Block or in the House of Commons somewhere. He just went in studio and started talking. And what was interesting, when he was asked about the polling numbers and sticking around, he actually tried to undermine the entire polling industry and the credibility of polls. And you know who does that? People who are losing. And right now, Justin Trudeau's losing badly. But I'll say this. You look around the room, and I had this in a column the other day, Adrienne, and Warren, you may have a take on this. You look around the room at his potential replacements, and now I understand why he might be sticking around. You know, Chrystia Freeland, Mark Carney, Francois-Philippe Champagne, who I like, but you know, these guys are not going to turn around 21 to 24% Liberal Party support.
You know, Warren, in Power and Politics interview on CBC, which of course should always be a soft landing for a Liberal to go on CBC, but you know, to the credit of the host, he kind of really went at the Prime Minister, and Trudeau's response with respect to the polls was that Canadians aren't in the mood for making a decision. Now, Warren, you're out and about. I think Canadians make difficult decisions every day, in part because of the financial strain that this government has put upon us and our household budgets. But I think that they have made their decision. Do you?
Yeah, I do. And you know what that reminded me of? It reminded me of poor old Kim Campbell in 1993. An election is not the right time to make big decisions. When you're saying stuff like that, the party's all over. But, you know, full disclosure, I have been a Liberal. I have run Liberal war rooms. I have taught innocent youngsters how to be Liberals. And last night, I was with some very senior Liberals from the Martin camp, from the Jean Chrétien camp, from, you know, the Stéphane Dion camp. I talked to a lot of these guys and gals, and they all said the same thing. He has to go. He has to go. I said, is Mark Carney running? They said, oh yeah, Mark Carney's running openly. Dominic LeBlanc's out there. Champagne is trying to figure out what he's going to do and how to get better known. Like, it's happening.
Yeah.
The thing that isn't happening is the guy at the top taking the hint and getting out. 3 polls out in the past few days. Brian's written about it for our paper, showing the gap is 20 points. The gap has been 15 to 20 points for more than a year. Like, it's all over. That's what all the Liberals are saying, but this guy's not taking the hint. So everybody's watching to see what happens in St. Paul's.
Brian, let's talk about that by-election that is just around the corner. And I know some people are saying, you know, this could be one of the first times it's actually a tight race. It's been Liberal since 1993 under Carolyn Bennett. Prior to that, way back before that, it had been a Conservative riding. But it's a largely populated with a strong Jewish community there. They seem motivated to get out and vote for their displeasure of how the Trudeau Liberals have handled everything that's gone on since October 7th, the hate being spewed on our streets against the Jewish community. But is this one of those, the by-elections, I mean, it is what it is. The voter turnout's already going to be really low. But is there a possibility that even if the Conservatives make it tight, that sends a message?
I mean, potentially, but if the Liberals win, and I think they will, Trudeau's just going to take that as a sign that, it'd be like Sally
Everything
Fields,
is awesome. Yeah.
They really, really love me. And he's going to do a victory lap if they win. There is a chance the Conservatives could pull it off, but last time they won this was Barbara McDougall in 1988. A good chunk of the voters were not alive when that happened. But you mentioned the Jewish community. It's about 4% of the population, so it's significant, but it's not massive like Thornhill or town of Mount Royal. Where the Liberals are also in trouble, though, is this capital gains change. It's an interesting riding. You've got one section that's definitely voting NDP, and provincially, it's an NDP riding. And then the Conservatives and the Liberals battle it out for the rest of the riding, and it's normally gone Liberal. But there's a good chunk of professionals. We're talking doctors, small business owners, accountants, people who are really impacted by this capital gains tax change. I have talked to some Liberals who live in the riding, are small business owners, and they voted Conservative. Are there enough of them? We'll see on Monday. My guess is it's very close, but that the Liberals absolutely squeak through on this one.
Warren, last word to you. I tend to agree with Brian. I think that the Liberals are going to do everything that they possibly can to get, I think whoever gets their vote out wins the day. I don't know how much of the Liberal vote might stay home because they are either away at the cottage already, or they're just disenfranchised, or they just don't care. A lot of people still aren't paying attention. But I don't think that takes away from the overarching issue about where we started. And that is a majority of Canadians who are looking to a federal election, a national election, have made their choice. They have made their decision. Maybe this small microcosm of a by-election is not reflective of that, because let's face it, it is midtown Toronto, where that's happening. But overall, the rest of the country seems to have passed their judgment on Justin Trudeau. Last word to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, St. Paul's, I agree with both of you. I've known Leslie Church for more than a decade. You know, she's a smart person, and, you know, she's been in trouble, but then they made a decision that is cynical beyond belief, but it's probably going to work. They announced in the middle of the by-election campaign that they are going to make the IRGC a terrorist organization, right? And that was 100% aimed at the Jewish community and Jewish allies. That's the only reason they did it, after years of foot dragging on that issue. So she's probably going to pull it out. But as you point out, it doesn't change the fundamentals, right? It doesn't change. If they're losing St. Paul's, it's all over. So I think they're going to be okay. Like right now, they're in enormous trouble. Liberals know it. You've got another Liberal MP announcing he's, you know, moving on to spend time with family and get involved in municipal politics. There's a lot of that kind of decision-making and discussion taking place behind the scenes. And we're going to see more and more Liberal MPs announcing that they're departing, and more people stepping up to get a Tory nomination. And that means something.
Well, let us know what you think in the comments below. Like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and go to thetorontosun.com. You're going to find commentary and coverage there you will not find anywhere else.